Thank you very much, Tarek, and doing this briefing. I understand why the world wants to know the source of the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't actually think at this point that anyone's ever going to be persuaded one way or another by new evidence, but be that as it may, is WHO concerned that this issue has become such a political football that people are tossing it around and using it as a weapon against each other instead of doing the work that needs to be done to make sure that spillovers, if they occur, are caught quickly and extinguished, and that lab leaks are the risk of lab leaks is diminished by better lab safety protocols. I mean, it feels like everybody's so concerned about what the origin is as opposed to trying to stop the next one. Is that a concern for WHO? Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. That's a very good question. Well, we start with Dr. Van Kerkhove.
Yeah, thanks, Helen, very much for the question. Of course, we're concerned about the politicization of any scientific topic, any public health topic, certainly one that has caused at least 20 million deaths worldwide and is still circulating. The Director General established the advisory group, this SAGO, to bring the conversation back to science. This is what this group has attempted to do over the last 3.5 years. This is what this group, and Mariki can comment on this, about the discussions that they had, and how robust those were. In terms of bringing it back to what do we actually know? What does the data tell us? What does the science say? And what you will see in the report literally what does the science say? And it also highlights what we're missing. And so what we've attempted to do, always here at WHO, but through the SAGO as well, is to bring the conversation back to the science. Because yes, you are correct, there is a lot of politicization of this. There's a lot of moving back and forth, and it's distracting the discussion, as you say, from the real work that needs to get done. Is the world safer now for the next pandemic? Are we ready for the next pandemic? And you've heard the DG say many times, yes and no. So many more capacities exist now, but this politicization of what's happened, certainly with COVID, doesn't make the world safer. And this is why it's so critical that governments continue to invest in surveillance, comprehensive surveillance, not just in humans, but smart surveillance in humans, in animals, at the animal-human interface, that those detection methods are really robust for the threats that we know exist, but also the ones that might be there because of environmental suitability or where animals are moving or trade patterns or sale patterns. And I can go on and on. You mentioned laboratory biosafety and biosecurity. There's a lot of expanded capacity for laboratories for detection methods. This expansion started before COVID and it was accelerated over the last 5 years. We have a laboratory biosafety and biosecurity manual. We have to make sure that that is implemented. It should not be taken for granted that labs that are working with pathogens are always doing those under the safest conditions. This is why we work so closely with member states to make sure that the governance is in place, that these labs are evaluated, that the research is evaluated to be done under the safest conditions possible, because we do know lab leaks can happen. They've happened in the past, they will happen in the future. So I share your concern that we're not having the right conversation. However, I'm very grateful for these 27 scientists. I'm very grateful for all of the scientists that have really put their efforts, the governments that have supported the research to be able to understand this, because it isn't a simple answer. We need to be much more precise. It's not just zoonotic or lab leak. It's what were those exact conditions that took place for this pandemic to begin. It's not about blame. It's about actually getting much more precise about preventing the next one. So that's what we are focused here on, and extremely grateful for the 27 members of SAGO who helped us to achieve the report that you will see later today.